Go ahead and come on your backs, please. And if you need something under your head, you can use that extra blanket or pillow that you have for under your head. And let's take a few moments just to kind of settle in here. Some nice slow deep breaths. Bring that breath down into the lower abdomen. So the area of our glutes, as you're taking a few more moments to settle, of course we know it's the area that we sit on. Because we sit on them a lot, they tend to get weak. And the tissues are kind of lengthened in the back there. So they don't give us a lot of support when we sit on them a lot. They tend to get weak. And then the opposite happens is that the front of the hip gets tight. So our glutes are what helps us bring our leg behind us and also forward. So it's our mover, right? When we're walking, we're using our glutes. But we also have a layer underneath our glute max is our glute medius and our glute minimus. They're smaller, deeper, and they externally rotate our leg. When we turn our toes and our leg out to the side, those muscles are engaging to turn our leg outward. So we're going to work all three of those today in our practice. We're going to do some kind of stretching, releasing for the area, but also some strengthening, much needed strengthening. So go ahead and take just 2 or 3 more breaths. Maybe sensing into this area, noticing if there's any particular sensations that you're noticing. And then let's go ahead and take a full body stretch. When we take a full body stretch, we're really lengthening out the front of the hip there. That's often in a creased position when we sit. And we're going to bring the right knee and hug it into the chest. We're just going to hug it in for a moment. And we're going to add a little bit of resistance work, let's say that. So I want you to press your shin and your hands into each other as if you're trying to straighten your leg. And just notice any sensations there in the leg, in the hip, maybe in your glute. And then we're going to do the opposite and release it and pull it in toward the chest. And as you pull it in, we're going to squeeze the lower belly toward the spine. Let's do that 2 more rounds. Push the leg forward into your hands. Hands pull into your shin. Feel muscles engaging. And then exhale, we pull it in and draw the low belly toward the spine. Go ahead and do that 1 more cycle. I think I forgot to put everybody on mute, so I'm just going to quickly do that, just so we don't get any feedback. Okay, next inhale, full body stretch. Let's do that on the other side. Okay, so left knee draws in. And then 3 rounds, we're going to press the shin and hands into each other, engage the leg, and then exhale, release it, pull it in, belly draws toward the spine, 2 more rounds. Take a nice long exhalation phase as you pull that knee in, last round. Next, inhale, full body stretch. And now let's bring both of the knees into your chest. We're going to cross the right ankle on top of the left ankle and let the knees drop out to the side. So if we were sitting, this would be like a seated cross-legged position. Now we're going to do that same thing. Hold your shins. Press your shins forward into your hands on the inhale, and then exhale, pull them in towards your chest, squeeze your low belly, and feel like your tailbone stays long. 2 more rounds. Inhale, knees pull away, press. Maybe feel those muscles engaging, and then pull in. Draw the belly toward the spine. 1 more time. Good. Now pause there and see if you can feel like you're in what's neutral in your lower back. So you're not pulling away, you're not pulling in, you're just neutral. And now take your hands on the outside of your legs somewhere. We're going to do resistance on the outside of the legs. Press your legs out into your hands. Press your hands into your legs. Feel those leg muscles engaging, outer hips, outer glutes, and then relax. 2 more like that. Press the legs out into the hands. Feel those muscles working, and then release. 1 more time. Good. And then we're going to let those feet come down for a moment. Feel the feet as they touch the ground and take a few windshield wipers side to side. We're going to repeat that with the opposite shin in the front. Bring those knees back into the chest. Left ankle on top of right ankle. First, we're going to do the pull away and pull towards. So hands on your shins. And push your shins into your hands into your shins, resist, and then let it go, pull in, squeeze your belly toward your spine. 2 more like that. So trying to push your legs forward and then you're letting them come in. 1 more like this. Nice long exhale as you pull in. And then finding a neutral and bring your hands on the outside of your legs. Press out into your hands as if you're trying to draw your legs apart and then soften. 2 more like that. So what we're doing is we're engaging muscles and then releasing them. This is really beneficial for helping to release where we're stuck in different patterns in our bodies. All right, let it go. Set the feet down. Feel the feet as they land. And windshield wiper side to side. All right, go ahead, take your legs straight up toward the ceiling. And then take your whole right leg in front of your left leg. Cross at your inner thigh. No space. And then bend your knees and take your feet toward opposite sides. See if you can hold your shins or hold behind the backs of your legs. So this is like the pose that we do seated called Gomukhasana. And it gives a good stretch to that outer glute area. Now we're going to stay there for a few breaths. Take an inhale, exhale, pull those knees into the chest. And feel like you're lengthening your tailbone as you do that. And then soften, take an inhale, exhale, pull in towards your chest. Squeeze your inner thighs. 1 more time, take an inhale, let it go a bit, and then exhale, pull in. Now hold it there, flex your feet, and try to push your feet toward opposite sides of the room as your tailbone gets heavier. And you squeeze your inner thigh. Should feel that in those legs somewhere. And then let it go. Unwind the legs. Feel your feet as they land on the ground. And then windshield wiper side to side. I'm going to do that 1 more time on the other side. Okay, legs straight up toward the ceiling. Left leg crosses over the right at the inner thigh, bend the knees. And then reach up, either hold behind your legs or hold your shins. Okay, we're going to take an inhale, exhale, squeeze in, pull those knees toward the chest, but press your lower back down, keep your tailbone heavy, and 2 more rounds. Inhale, slight release, exhale, pull in. 1 more time. Now we're going to keep it pulling in. Tailbone lengthens. Flex your feet. Try to push your feet toward opposite sides of the room as you squeeze your inner thighs, low belly. Pull those knees in a little closer. Notice where you feel it. For me, I'm getting big stretch in left outer hip. Might be different for you. And then let it go. Feet land down on the ground softly. Windshield wiper side to side. Very good. Okay, from here, we're going to come over onto our right side. And we're going to put maybe a pillow under your head or fold in a blanket under your head. And we're going to stack our knees up on top of each other. Okay, so this one is going to seem more familiar. It's kind of like the old-fashioned clamshell, but we're going to do a little more somatically. We're going to press our inner edges of the feet together. Make sure your knees are in line with your hips. And then as you inhale, we're going to start to lift the top knee, very slow motion. Take it up as far as you comfortably can. Feel those external rotators working. Those are those glute medius, glute minimus. And then we're going to slowly come down with resistance. So you're moving as if you're trying to press something really resistant between your legs. When the legs come all the way together, give them a squeeze together on your inner thighs. And let's repeat that. Slowly lifting the top leg. Keep the inner edges of your feet kind of pressing together. Come up as high as it feels right for you. And then with resistance, come slowly back down. And I want you to do a few more rounds like that. The key is to go slowly. So we can go up, down, much less benefit than going slowly. We don't want to use momentum here. We want to stay focused in the body and on the sensations that we're feeling. And you want to go as slow as you can on the way down as well. Last one, and we're going to change it up. So notice if you have lots of little skips or jumps in the movement. That's what we call sensory motor amnesia. So we want to try and smooth out the whole movement so there's no little skips and jumps. Just little areas of weakness in the muscles. Okay, next time you bring it up, I want you to hold it there. Press the inner edges of your feet together, hold it up, and we're going to do little tiny pulses. Pulse up, up, really small as you can. Bottom leg kind of roots down toward the ground. And then hold it up there, hold it up. And release, let it go. Give a little rub down to that side of the hip. Okay. Now, those of you facing to the side, if you can't see me, you might want to take a peek. Next part, we're going to straighten the top leg and lift that leg off the ground, just maybe a foot or two. And we're going to take that top leg to the back plane, and you'll notice your glute engages when you take that leg back. And now we're going to keep that leg back, keep the glute engaged, and make very small circles with that top leg. Small circles. We're really using the fine motor control here of these more internal muscles of the glutes. And now reverse, go the other direction. Good, now hold it up, take the leg, squeeze it back, feel that engagement in the glute. And we're also extending the front of the hip here, and then release it. Stack the leg up, rub it out. And now we're going to take that top leg, see if you can grab your foot. And if you can't, you can just kind of bend your knee. But if you can, grab your foot and then let that knee drop down so it's not up so high. Okay, and then try to imagine that you could move your knee toward the end of your mat. So we're lengthening the front of your quad, and we're also engaging the glute muscle here. Lengthen the front of the thigh and maybe squeeze the back of the glute a bit. Good, slowly release and breathe. Take one more breath here. We're gonna switch out, do that on the other side. Then we're gonna come up and do some more standing work. Okay, go ahead and switch it out. I'm gonna stay so I'm facing you guys. Okay, we're going to stack up those knees. The inner edges of the feet are together. And we start to lift with resistance. There's a heavy weight on that top leg. And then we're going to slowly bring it down with control. Being aware of muscles that are engaging, squeeze at the bottom and continue. Lift up. And release. So these are very important muscles for stabilizing our pelvis as well. So when we do balancing poses, these muscles help engage to help keep our pelvis from rocking side to side. They also engage when we do our lunges. And I tell you guys, squeeze your inner thighs, firm your outer hips. These are those same muscles that we're working here today. So really important, especially as we age, to keep these muscles strong so we don't fall, lose our balance. Also good for our hips to keep these muscles strong. Do one more, then we're going to add our pulse. Try to smooth out any of those little skips and jumps. Squeeze at the bottom. Now, this next time we come up, let's stay up there. And you're going to make little tiny pulses. And then hold it up one more moment. And release. Let it come down. Take a pause. Maybe rub it out, tap it out. And we're going to take that top leg straight. Flex the foot. And bring that leg toward the back plane. So you feel that glute muscle engage. And then small circles. Try again to use control. So it's very, very tight. You don't want it to kind of be very loose here. So use control and stay with a very slow, mindful movement. Reverse that circle, go the other way. So we get into momentum, we're not going to have as much benefit. So we want to use the muscular control. That's it. All right, release, bring that leg back down, and then we'll go for our quad stretch. So we're going to see if we can reach back and catch the foot. If not, you're just going to bend the knee. And then we're going to see if we can lengthen the thigh bone, try to reach your knee toward the end of your mat. Top shoulder could roll back, and maybe squeeze the back of your leg a bit if that feels okay. So oftentimes this is tight in the front here, and that can affect our knees. It's good to stretch out the front of the quad. All right, go ahead and release that. And then we're going to come around and come up into tabletop position, all fours. You might still want to have a blanket underneath those knees. We are going to spend a good amount of time here in tabletop, so if your wrists bother you, roll your mat up, give yourself a cushion under the heels of your hands, or at any time you could drop down onto your forearms and do the work that way. It's helpful to really claw the floor with your finger pads. That'll help strengthen the musculature of your hands and protect your wrists. Okay, take your right leg straight back behind you. We're going to lift it up. And when you lift it up, you'll feel the back of the leg and the glute fibers start to engage. We're going to make like a rainbow. So you take your right leg out to the side, tap the ground, lift it up, and swing it all the way around to the other side. And then do that a few more times, going slowly with control. Tap to one side, tap to the other side. Try to keep your hips nice and stable here as well. One more time. Good, back to the center. We're going to inhale, peel the hands up, reach the arms up, stand up on your knees. Interlace your palms, press the palms up. Good, bring your hands onto your hips. Bring all of your weight towards your left leg, and we're gonna see if we can step that right foot forward. Yeah, it's a little tricky, that's right. You might feel a little unstable, but it engages those side muscles to do that. Now we're gonna reverse. So root down into that left leg, engage that outer left hip, and see if you can bring that foot back. You got it, all right. Let's try the other side with the rainbow. Come on down, hands underneath the shoulders. Take the left leg back, lift it up. And then let's go ahead, go side to side, tap down. Try to keep that right hip firming in as you come over to the side. So don't shift over to the side. Couple more rounds here, moving with control. Last one. And then we're gonna bring it back in and stand up on our knees. Inhale, reach the arms up, interlace your palms, lengthen your spine. And then hands to your hips. So now right leg is gonna be our standing leg, really firm that leg, firm the outer hip, and see if you can step forward with your left foot. That's it, okay? Keep those hips firming in and try to step it back. Nice, all right, back down, tabletop position. Take your right leg back again, lift it up, flex your foot, tone your belly, and pulse up, and a little, just a really small movement. Pulse up, pulse up. Good, keep it up there, but now swing it over to the left. Hold it there for a moment, and then let the knee come down and start to shift back just a little bit. Come back up, bring that knee back down. Okay, try the other side, left leg back, flex the foot, lift it up, and pulse it up. Tone the belly, claw the floor with your palms, with your finger pads. Good, hold it up, and then bring that leg over to the right, bring the knee down and slide it out a little bit. All right, coming back to the center, let's take a child's pose. Move your hips back. You could put your hands underneath your forehead if you like, or put your head on a block. Let's take 2 more breath cycles there, and then we're going to be coming up to stand. Okay, so if you have a blanket down, let's go ahead and take that off of your mat so you don't get caught up in it. And come back to tabletop position. We're just gonna come up to dog as a transition. Lift your knees, bend those knees a lot, and walk your hands back towards your feet. Bend the knees and fold forward over your legs. Keep the knees bent, hands to hips. Push your heels into the ground. You're using your glutes even to come up here and slowly come up to stand. Good. All right, find your mountain pose, stand up nice and tall. Inhale, reach your arms up. Let's just do a couple half sun cells. Exhale, bend the knees, fold over your legs. Your heels are rooting into the ground. Inhale to your halfway lift. Slight bend in the knees, exhale, fold. Inhale, rise up, push the ground away with your feet. And then hands to your heart. Good. We're gonna do 2 more cycles. Inhale, arms reach. Exhale, fold over your legs. Inhale, halfway lift, feet are rooting down. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, rise up, lengthen. And hands to your heart. Let's do one more round. Inhale, reach. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lift. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, rise up. And drawing your hands to your heart. Very good. Okay, widen your feet so they're about hips distance apart, so not too narrow. We're gonna do kind of what think of in weightlifting called a deadlift, but we're just doing it with our bodies. Really helps strengthen our lower glutes and our hamstrings. We're gonna add in a little squat, also good for our legs and our glutes. So we're gonna put our hands and interlace them behind the back of the head. Bend the knees a little bit, take an inhale, and as you exhale, we're gonna start to fold at our hips to about the place where your chest is parallel to the ground. Press your feet into the ground and slowly come back up. Use your legs as you're coming back up. And then once you get back up, we're gonna bend the knees into a chair pose, into a squat. And we're gonna use those heels pressing into the ground and start to come up. Good, take your time. Inhale here. Exhale, slight bend in the knees, hinge at the hips, we're coming forward. This is like that deadlift. And we're gonna push the feet in the ground. Use your legs and start to come back up. You might feel this tomorrow, guys, in those legs and glutes. Okay, add your bent knees, chair pose, chest stays up. And you're pressing down through your heels and come all the way up. Good. One more time. Bend the knees, hinge forward, elbows are wide. And then when you come up, you're gonna push through those feet, use those legs. And last time, come into chair pose, bend your knees. Make sure weight is in your heels. And then we're coming up. And release. Okay. Keep the feet a little bit wider now and just take a little swing. Release that work. Good. Okay. We're going to try some warrior poses now. We're going to emphasize this work in the glutes. So stand in the middle of your mat if you're not there. And if you want, guys, you could even turn your mat so you're facing forward. It's up to you. We're going to step the feet apart wide. Okay, so you guys should be facing, at tradition, you guys should be facing the wall because you want to be on your mat. Okay? Yeah. Okay, so pause here and press your feet down into the ground. Notice how that engages your legs. Lift the front of your belly, lengthen your tailbone. And we're going to take the whole right leg and turn it out so the toes face forward. Then turn your left heel out and turn your left toes in a little bit. So that foot is on an angle. Then we're going to bend the right knee. We're coming into warrior two position. Your chest is going to face the long edge of your mat, so the wall right in front of you, and then take your arms out wide. So in warrior two position, you can look over your right fingertips. Good. Now, press down especially into your heels and notice how that fires up those outer glute muscles. And then one more action here. Press your thighs back and your sit bones forward. And that's going to engage the back of your glutes a bit more. Press down into your heels, lift your chest, hold here, one more breath. All right, release, parallel your feet, and pause. I'm going to do that on the other side. Turn your whole left leg out, toes point toward the short edge of your mat. Right toes turn in, widen your heel, and then we're going to bend that left knee. Chest faces the long edge of your mat and take your arms out to shoulder height. Look over your left fingers. Okay, press down into your heels. And that'll help open up the hips a bit. Then we press the thighs back and sit bones forward. We get very stable in our pelvis when we engage all those muscles. Really beneficial as we age, just to strengthen around our hip joints, strengthen around our shoulder joints. That's another class, but today we're strengthening around our hip joints. One more breath. Good, hands to hips, straighten that leg, parallel your feet, and let's step it in for a moment and shake it out. We're gonna add on a triangle pose. I'm gonna ask you guys to grab your blocks. And you're gonna put one block on either side of your mat, kind of behind you, and we'll step out wide again. So those blocks are behind you, so we'll be able to put a hand on the block when we come into our triangle pose. We're gonna repeat our warrior two, and we're gonna add on a triangle. So stand with your feet wide, lift your chest. Turn your right leg out, left toes in, widen the heel, bend your knee, warrior two. Look over your right fingers, press down into your heels, thighs back, sit bones forward, feel the stabilization of your pelvis. Good, now on your next inhale, we're gonna straighten the front leg and pause. Keep pressing down into your heels. Keep thighs back, sit bones forward. And then we're gonna reach to the right, reach, and bring your hand down to your block. If you can't reach your block, bring your hand on your thigh or your shin, top hand on the hip. Top hand on the hip. That's it, you got it. Okay, turn your chest open so it faces the wall in front of you. And we're gonna press down into those heels. Now hug your inner thighs towards each other. So we should feel really engaged through the lower body. Keep turning your top shoulder back. Now we're gonna try to come up, kind of like we did with our deadlift. So I want you to make sure there's a micro bend in your front knee, but you're pressing into your heel, top hand on the hip. Push the top hip down and start to slowly come up. But you're gonna press that right heel into the ground. Good, and then parallel your feet. Good, take a pause. Have a breath or two. Nice work, guys. Let's do the other side. We're almost done with the hard work. I'm gonna turn that left leg out, right toes in a little bit. Come into warrior two. Bend that knee, arms come to shoulder height. Press through your heels. Thighs back, sit bones press forward. Good, one more breath here. Good, and then hands to hips for a moment. Straighten your front leg, but try not to jam your knee. There's a micro bend. Helpful to press through the ball of the foot, press through the heel of the foot. And now we're gonna reach forward with that left hand, deepen your front hip crease, and bring your hand down to your block or your shin. Keep the top hand on the hip here, and roll the chest open to face the side wall, top shoulder back. Good, press through both heels. Inner thighs hug towards each other. Pause there for another breath. Okay, now we're gonna try to come up using the leg. So we're gonna make sure we have a micro bend, press through your heel. Top hand presses that hip down to help you come up. And we're using the glutes to help us do that. And then step it back into center and shake it out a little bit. You can move your blocks to the side. Okay, we're gonna do one more standing pose right here. Step the feet apart wide again. Turn both toes out. So your legs, kneecaps, toes are lining up externally rotated. And then we're gonna bend the knees, coming into a bit of a squat. Same thing here, press your thighs back and your sit bones forward and press down into your heels, tone your belly. And let's bring hands to heart if you feel balanced. Good, hold it there. thighs back, sit bones forward, press your heels. Now we're going to inhale, straighten those legs, reach the arms straight up overhead, and then exhale back down, going slowly with control. Good, one more time. Inhale, lift up. Exhale down. Hold it here, one more breath. Good, and then straighten those legs, heel toe, back in, step back in, shake it out. All right, I hope you guys are up for one more standing strengthening thing. We're gonna grab a yoga belt. So I think everybody has them there at the clubhouse. Laura, I think you probably have one. So grab a strap, and we're gonna use the strap for resistance. We're going to take the strap around the middle thigh area. So go ahead and step into it. Well, you guys will need a loop in it. So if you don't have a loop in it, you're going to go like this. Okay, so you need to weave it through and get a loop. Okay. And then we're going to do some releasing and stretching it out. So let's go ahead and put the loop, step into it, mid-thigh area. Try not to have the buckle right on your flesh. I like to have it kind of between the legs, and then tighten it up a bit. And you want to be able to stand about hips distance apart. Hopefully your belt will hold. If it doesn't, you're going to just hold on to the tail so that it doesn't come apart. So we're going to use it for resistance. So your feet are about hips distance apart. And the belt's nice and snug. We're going to bend our knees, come into chair pose. Now, if your belt will stay, you can let go of that strap. If you need to, hold on to it so it doesn't break apart. What we don't want is the belt to break apart. I'm going to have you press your legs out into the belt as if you're trying to stretch the belt, but we don't want the belt to get bigger. And then feel that work in your hips and your glutes. Hold it there, maybe sit a little lower, let the weight be in your heels. Good, and then slowly come up. Okay, we're gonna shift our weight over to the right leg and come on to the left toe. You still have that belt on. You can hold the tail if you want. Now see if you can pick that foot off the ground. If not, keep the toe on the ground. But what this does is it helps keep this hip firming in with the belt, and then we have a little resistance here on this side. We're going to try and balance there. Tone your belly. You can hold on to the wall if you're near the wall. And you feel that outer leg stabilizing you to hold you there. Good. Switch out. Come over to the other side. Weight comes in that left foot. You're going to be on your toe to start out. And those of you who can are going to lift that foot off the ground, and your belt is going to help you stabilize. See if you can hold it for another breath or two. There's a micro bend in that standing knee. Good, release. One more time each side. Shift over to the right. You can stay on the toe if you want, or lift that leg. If you're lifting it, we're going to pulse it a few times. Just a few pulses. Hold it up, and then release. Other side. Lift if you can, or keep it down. If you're keeping it down, just stay working on that. Otherwise, pulse. Hold it up, and let it go. Woo. All right, let's take that strap off. I know you guys felt that. Feet are wide, knees are soft, and let's just take a little gentle sway. Loosen it up. Good. Step the feet back in. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, fold forward over your legs. Inhale, halfway lift. We're going to step back to down dog. Bring our knees down and come into a child's pose. So that should feel nice to come into child's pose for a few breaths. Think about your sit bones drawing back so that we're getting a stretch into the glutes even here. Last 2 breaths, rest it out. After your second breath, let's go ahead and make our way up to a seated posture. And you don't need to be on a prop because we're going to have our feet in front of us, unless you feel like you need to. Your hands are going to come behind you. Lift your chest. We're going to come into our figure 4, cross right ankle over left knee. And you might feel that stretch through that outer right hip. Press your right shin and your left thigh into each other. And then pull your sit bones and your tailbone down as you lift your chest. So it'll help lengthen that tissue out a bit. And then we're going to windshield wiper the legs from side to side. That's it. Good, back to the center. And then we're going to cross the legs, right leg in the front, sit up tall. Now you might pull in a support under your sit bones, a blanket or a pillow. We're going to widen those sit bones out a bit and pause here. So same pose we did on the back with the ankles crossed. We're going to take an inhale, and as you exhale, hinge at your hips, bring your hands in front of you. Some of you are going to pause right here and stay right here. Stick your sit bones and your booty back behind you a little bit. You might wiggle it out. So we get length through our lower back. And then some of you might feel like you can walk it out and go a little farther. And we're now stretching those outer glute muscles. Also, maybe you'll feel it some other places, lower back. If you're close to the ground, you could put a block under your head. We're going to take a few breaths there. You might even have a sway. Like just sway your upper body from side to side and feel how that gets into a little different area when you do that. And walk it back in, take your time. Slide that right leg out a little bit and bring the left foot flat. Okay, from here, we're gonna lean over toward the right leg and bring the left leg down, if you can. If this is too much, you can keep this leg out like this, okay? If you can, fold it back. You can still be up on a prop. We're gonna turn toward that right leg and start to fold over the knee. Pause here before we get too deep and pull the right sit bone back away from your knee, lengthening through that side hip. And then see if you can come down any amount more. Some of you can come all the way to the ground. Maybe a block comes under your head. It's kind of like a modified pigeon pose here. And we're getting a nice stretch and all that tissue that we just strengthened up. We need both in our yoga practice. You know, sometimes we think yoga is all about stretching, and a lot of it is, but strengthening is an equally important component. Let there be about 2 or 3 more soft breaths here. The breath is an important piece of the release process. When we make a soft breath, it encourages our fascia to loosen its grip. Okay, slowly walk it up. We're going to do that on the other side. So let's go ahead and bring both feet flat in front. Hands behind you, and then cross left ankle over. I'm going to start there. Hands behind you. Press the shin and leg into each other. Pull the tailbone and sit bones down. Lift your chest. And then we'll start our windshield wiper side to side. All right, coming back through the center, we're going to come into that cross leg position. This time, left shin in the front. Sitting up on padding, if you like, widen out your sit bones, pull them a little behind you. That'll help you fold forward. Inhale, lengthen your spine. Bring your hands in front of you and pause. Stick your sit bones and your booty back behind you. Lengthens the area of the glutes and the lower back. And then maybe you could walk it out a little bit more. Maybe your head rests on a block or 2 blocks. And then we'll maybe have a gentle sway if that feels good. So everything is invitational. What feels right in your body right now? Okay, slowly starting to walk it back in. Slide that left knee out to the side a little bit, bring the right foot flat. And then we're going to see if we can bring that right knee in and bring the leg back behind you. Again, it might be helpful to be up on a folded blanket here. Turn towards your left leg. You might scoot the sit bone back a little bit. And then come forward till the weight goes a little more forward. And then pull the left sit bone away from the knee to lengthen. And then maybe walk it out a little bit more. And then we'll stay there for nice, slow, soft breaths. Okay, slowly walking it back in. Take your time. We're going to come back up, feet flat. And then one more time, just kind of windshield wiper with the legs uncrossed. Okay, we're going to come down on our back for a little bit of work there, but maybe about 5 more minutes, then we'll have our Shavasana. So I want you guys to watch for a moment before you come down on your back. So just take a peek. So our glute ties in to our IT band, which is on the side of the leg, all through our fascial network. So it's all connected to each other. So sometimes this area is very tight as it connects into the outer glute. So we're going to work that a bit. So what we're going to do, actually, let's put our blanket back down. So go ahead, take a moment, do that. And you'll have an easier time sliding. Keep a second blanket nearby in case you need something under your head. And then you can sit up and watch for a second. Okay. So I'm going to come down and I'm going to cross my right leg over my left leg. Arms out to a T. And very similar to some of the things we've just done, we're going to windshield wiper, but just to the right, and we're going to look to the left. So we're going to repeat that a few times, going slower than what I'm doing right now. But we're going to add on, after a few rounds like that, hands behind the head. And as the legs drop to the right, you're going to slide your upper body to the left, maybe look at your right elbow, and then come back. Okay, so it's a rocking motion. We get a big, nice lengthening through this side of the body. And then we're going to do it on the other side. Okay, so go ahead, come down on your backs when you're ready. Cross your right leg over your left leg. And we're only going to drop legs to the right initially. Keep your arms out to a T for the first part. As you inhale, legs drop to the right, look to your left. And then return as you exhale back to start. And repeat. Legs drop over, look over to your left shoulder, and return. One more like this. Okay, Hands behind the back of the head. We're going to add in that sliding side bend. So legs drop to the right. Slide your upper body without lifting it to the left. Maybe look at your right elbow. And then back to the start. Okay, 3 more times. Inhale into the movement. Exhale back. 2 more. Last one. And then release your arms, release your legs. Pause with your feet flat, even yourself out. And then let's do the other side. So cross the left leg over, arms out to a T. And now we're only dropping those legs to the left. Legs to the left, head to the right. We rock to the inner edge of the foot and return. Move on and inhale a few more rounds. One more like this. Good. Okay, hands behind the back of the head. And let's drop the legs to the left, slide the upper body to the right. Maybe look at that left elbow. And then return. Keep that going on your own. One more time. And then we'll release. Okay, let's take a full body stretch. Reach out through arms, legs, lengthen everything out. And then we're going to hug the knees into the chest. Let's make some little circles on the lower back. Circle those legs around. And then reverse it. Let's go the other way. And then back to center. Let's take happy baby. You can hold behind your legs or hold ankles or feet, but let the knees go nice and wide. And let the tailbone and sacrum stay heavy. You might rock this out a little bit if that feels good. Okay, and then both knees draw back into the chest. And then we'll find our Shavasana. So you can let your feet come down. Slide one leg out, give it a little wiggle, a little bounce. And then the other leg out, wiggle, bounce. Both legs, wiggle, bounce. Helps loosen up our lower back. And then we'll take Shavasana. If you want to grab anything, maybe blanket under your head, under your knees, cover up. I'm going to be coming up. You guys find your Shavasana. I'll give you a minute to get settled. And then starting to tune inward and drop downward. So having a sense of letting go of all effort in the body. With every breath cycle, like you're peeling another layer. So softening from the outside to the inside. Being aware of the area of the glutes, the hips, the outer hips, and allowing those areas to get really soft. So consciously relaxing through the glutes, through the hips, back of the legs, lower back. Let's take about 3 rounds of breath. And on every exhalation, can you let go of a little bit more tension in the area of the glutes and low back? Letting your sacrum drop, get heavy. Softening the low belly. Softening inner thighs. Every breath, releasing more into the support of gravity. Allowing gravity to help the tissue soften. As if all the muscle were gently falling away from the bone. And all of the connective tissue falling away from the muscle. And all of the skin falling away from the connective tissue. A couple more moments here. All right, everyone. So take a couple of moments. Notice how you feel after your practice. Try to move in slow motion, bringing in very small movements, a little deeper breath. Try not to rush. And take those movements a little bigger gradually. Maybe hug it out or stretch it out. Eventually, go ahead and make your way over to one side for a brief pause. Continuing to move slow motion, coming up as you are ready. Finding a comfortable seat, however you'd like, up on a prop if you need to. We're going to sit up tall. Maybe widen out those sit bones, get nice and grounded. And then perhaps let the eyes close or find a soft focal point for a few more breaths into your lower abdomen. In the yoga philosophy, there's a word we use that kind of refers to our discipline for our practice. The word is tapas. Spelled just like the small plates that we go to restaurants for, but in this case, it means our dedication, our commitment, our spiritual fire that encourages us to show up again and again for our practice. When we show up for our practice with that diligence, with that commitment, so when we start to notice those changes happening in both our mind and our bodies, but we can't give up. We return again and again, and that is the spirit of tapas. So if our practice is challenging, we can remind ourselves that with that commitment, we're going to get stronger, we're going to get more flexible. We're also going to calm those storms of the mind. Let's bring our hands together now in front of the heart space. Take an inhalation, and as you exhale, bowing your head to your heart. Namaste.